Welcome to the weekly box office report with the animated critics. As followed are the weekend estimates for June 25th to the 27th, 2010. In first place, with 59 million, we have Toy Story 3. Its total right now stands at an estimated $226.5 million. This has become one of the biggest hits of the year and looks like it's on track to break 400 million. What do you think about its run?
Definitely going to get up there to 400 million. It's already 3 million away from Shrek's run at this point, and I think that unfortunately what we saw with the legs and the 3D theaters and stuff is going to start going away as more of these movies start to compete for these 3D screens. Like Shrek Forever After is not going to really have the legs that How to Train Your Dragon had.
Yeah, Toy Story now is going to break 300 million by the end of the week, and I think this is going to be the number one movie of the year. In second place, we have a very large opening for grown-ups with $41 million. This is right in line with Sandler's previous openings. They're all between 38 and 42. We had Longest Yard being the high point at 47 million. But I actually thought this movie would do a little bit bigger with all the cast members involved. Were you impressed with this opening?
I think it was a solid opening. Regardless of the cast, the movie was aimed at an older audience, and thus this is a pretty good opening for that.
I think this is going to play well through next weekend when all families are out, and look for a very small drop and a large box office gross of over $150 million.
And at number 3, we have Night and Day for a weekend gross of 20.5 million and a 5-day gross of 27.7 million. Much lower than I had thought it would do. I think that this proves really that it doesn't matter who you have in your movie, as with Grown Ups comedy and Adam Sandler, $41 million. Here you have Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, both big names, but an action comedy coming in only at half that. What do you think about that?
I'm very surprised at these numbers. I had this pegged at 55 million for 5 days, so I was way off. And I saw it in a crowded house, and everyone seemed to like it, so I'm surprised. And I don't know if this is going to take word of mouth and some time for an audience to build. This might have a decent second week hold because of adults being out as well as family for the 4th of July weekend. And I don't know. I'm curious to see what next weekend's numbers are to call this a flop yet.
And at number 4, we have The Karate Kid with an estimated 15.4 million weekend gross for a total now of 135.5. And this movie just keeps surprising everyone, I think, really, with how it's performing.
Week after week, it's performing kind of like a movie headlined by Will Smith. It's small week-to-week declines, 15 million in your third week. That's a huge gross for a kid's film. And this is the sleeper hit of the summer as far as I'm concerned. Rounding out the top 5, we have the A-Team with estimated $6 million, bringing its total to almost $63 million. With a production budget of $110 million, this is not going to hit that $100 million mark. This has to be seen as a failure. What do you think about it?
It's going to have some pretty big declines here coming up as well. And only hitting $6 million now, the $60 million total is not good for the A-Team.
I don't know anyone that's loved this film, and I think it shows in the high percentages of decreasing rates each weekend. Opening up next week, we have 2 big blockbusters for the 4th of July weekend. On Wednesday, we have the third film in the Twilight series, Eclipse. And on Thursday, we have M. Night Shyamalan's first movie since The Happening 2 years ago, The Last Airbender. What do you predict for the 5-day weekends for both these films?
Twilight's going to be absolutely huge. The 3-day for New Moon was 142 million. The 5 days is just going to be possibly enormous, possibly 150 million.
That's not out of reach for what these kind of films can do and the appeal, especially the front-loaded appeal of the first 2 films. We also have The Last Airbender. That's targeted for tracking to open up in the $50 million range. However, I don't know anybody that's too excited to see this film, and I haven't heard strong word of mouth about the trailers. What do you think about it?
Kids really love the cartoons of these things. I think that they're going to come out in droves. They're going to bring their parents. They're going to make them go out and see this movie.
I'm not even going to take a stab at predicting this week since I was so off last week with Night and Day. And that does it for our show this week. Thanks you for watching, and check back with us next weekend to see if our predictions came true.